Hi everyone, my name is Matt. I have been the person behind Bricksburgh for how many years now? I'm not even sure. Probably since 2004, maybe, something like that. And my son Tyler has been the one who does most of the building. Most of the videos you've seen have been fronted by Tyler. I've been doing some of them recently as he's been busy, and I can take a couple minutes to do something real quick. And you've seen my daughter Mia also in there. I'm coming to you today from, well, kind of the setting for one of my other channels, which is available on YouTube. You can look for the username Newscutter. That's NZCUTR, and there'll probably be a link to it somewhere on this channel or in the end credit or something like that. But basically, that's where I talk about, everything else. Like, this is the Tesla that we own, and I talk about that experience. What I'm here to do for you right now is to try and give you a little bit of explanation for where the Lego videos are and why we've been sort of struggling with keeping the channel going and keeping the view counts up and things like that. Frankly, it's just a really busy time in our lives right now. Tyler is actually a senior in high school, and as such, he has a lot of things he's trying to wrap up, both in school and in Scouts. And because he's a Boy Scout, he's working on his Eagle project right now. And that takes a lot of his time away, and his focus really should be on preparing for college. And he's going to go study engineering, which seems like an appropriate field for somebody who's grown up with Legos to enter. And we're looking forward to him doing well at that. We're not looking forward to paying the tuition bills, but hey, that's why we want to keep the YouTube going, is it's a little bit of money every month if we can get over their threshold. So please be watching all those old videos if there's stuff you haven't seen. As for Mia, she's not quite as into Legos as we maybe thought she might be, and that's fine. She's into her own stuff. She's very athletic and is doing that. So I don't know that you'll really see any more videos with Mia in it, just because that's not her thing, and that's fine. I've been trying to do, excuse me, I've been trying to do some of the minor builds and tours and explanations about things that you may see in the background, and we are trying to get Tyler back to do a big town tour. I know I've been promising that for a couple weeks now, as I've been trying to keep the population of videos ongoing on the channel, and that is coming. We will get that done at some point, and here's what the delays have been. Well, Tyler has his own projects, as I mentioned. Also in our house, we are renovating our kitchen, which means that we're also doing our front hallway and our upstairs hallway, and because they have the same flooring, and that means, well, once you're going to put flooring in rooms, you might as well paint them first. And if you're going to paint them first, you might as well move light switches and add lights and change lights, and so that's electrical work. And and the foyer is 2 stories, so that we had to run a scaffold, and that was a lot of drama over the weekend. And then we're also doing the powder room because it's part of that. So anyway, we've wound up, basically, this project creep on our kitchen renovation means that we are effectively renovating a third of our house all at once. And we're trying to have that ready for graduation parties and things like that, so we need to be pushing hard on it, and the timing with YouTube is just unfortunate. Where that comes back to the town tour is the town needs a lot of cleanup done to it. It's not really camera ready. If you've been watching closely in some of the videos I've posted recently, you may have noticed that there's some sections of the town, there's kind of like junk in the streets. It looks a little bit apocalyptic, like zombies took over parts of the town, especially down in the harbor area. It's pretty messy, and the neighborhood isn't really built very well behind the airport. So before we do a full town tour, and what will probably be one of the last town tours that Tyler will do, we want to make sure the town is completely cleaned up and looking as good as it possibly can look. So parts of the town where things are in position and they're ready for that, I've been giving you some peeks of, little vignettes here and there, and the rest of it hopefully will be up to snuff soon, and we will have the entire town camera ready and can give you a complete look at that. So that's where things currently are at. We are not going back into the stop motion or anything. There is some debate about whether we keep the town even on display when Tyler goes to college, because Mia's not into the Legos, and it does take up a substantial amount of our game room. Even though the tables are on wheels and able to be rolled around, it's kind of hard to do that in some respects. And where would you roll them? They don't collapse or anything. Legos don't take kindly to tables being folded on them. So I'm not sure what will happen. certainly, if the YouTube channel remains a viable way of getting money to offset college expenses, then we'll keep it going. So that's the angle I'm trying to work, is that, hey, it makes money. We should keep the town up. And I will keep doing videos best I can to encourage that. And I need your help in that regard, obviously, to watch the videos, go back through the archives and forward things around so we can get those numbers up. But if that doesn't happen, then I'm not really sure what we'll do. So for now, let me answer a couple of the quick questions that we get a lot about Lego Town. Everyone always wants to know, like, why is everything 4 wide? Why is it all in this classic style? Why don't we have anything new? Well, frankly, we do have a few new sets here and there, but they've all been modified, really. And the issue is that the classic Lego scale of 4 wide is one that we find to be very attractive. It's kind of quaint in its own way. It's what I grew up with, so obviously all of the sets that were carryover from my childhood were already in that scale. And as we designed new buildings and vehicles and things like that, it made sense to keep everything consistent. The road plates are all the old scale road plates and everything. And so that's mainly it, is to try and keep everything with sort of a consistent look, kind of a consistent style. Now, as we've designed new things like our city buses and the taxis, and the hotel, TV station, modifications we've made to other buildings like the airport, things like that, we've tried to do those with an eye of them still looking very much like the old style Legos, so that it would be like if Lego made a set that was of a city bus, and they made that set available to the public in, say, 1989 or 1985 for that matter, what would it look like? And we've built those buses out to be all parts that would have been commonly available at that time and would have looked like a Lego set would look like if they'd made it. So that's kind of been the design philosophy behind those things. And as we've modified things like the police station is actually 2 to 3 of the original police stations kind of all bashed together. But yet we've tried to make the look consistent with the way it would have looked had Lego made a giant police station set at that time. So that's sort of the design philosophy. And if you ever get a newer style set, like we had the ambulance, and I think we've had the fire truck and a few things like that, and you put it on the old Lego street plates, it really does not, it's ridiculous. It doesn't fit. You can't park it anywhere. The ambulance is actually a great example. The ambulance is probably, at least the one that we had in some of the older videos you may have seen, the ambulance that was the newer style. I think it's a 6 wide and maybe, I don't know, maybe 16 long. It's very large. It's almost the size, if not bigger, than the original hospital set that we have combined a couple of those to make our larger hospital. But it was about the size of just the original hospital. The ambulance is so big. So that's kind of the problem we have logistically with how do you move stuff in town, and it doesn't look right. So that's why we do the 4 wide classic style. And when we've had sets, actually the inspiration for the bus sets was that Tyler received for Christmas a bus set that was the new style, and we wanted to recreate it in 4 wide, and that's why we created the buses. The doors for the bus actually are now in the airport, and they're used as the main doors for the passengers onto the airport tarmac. So if you look in the airport video, you'll see those doors on the front of the terminal where it faces the airplanes. They're not the original doors that would have been on that set in that location, and that's where they came from. They came from that bus. And the doors that were originally facing the tarmac were repurposed to go to the upper terrace and a few other places that they're still on the airport building, but we were able to use them in other places to make the terminal larger. It's still consistent with that classic style. So that's why we do classic styles. It works better, and you really can't mix and match too well. I also think the older sets were made out of kind of a more granular types of pieces so that they could be repurposed into other things, whereas the Legos that are used in the newer sets really can only be like one thing. You can really only make one thing out of some of those parts. So why not, so you can't really like make other stuff. So why would you want that when you could instead have pieces that can be used for multiple things? So like our buses, again, going back to our buses, there's nothing in that bus pitch, in those bus designs that are particular to the buses. All of those pieces can be used for something else, and have been used in other, like there's just nothing exotic about it really. And that's the advantage of the old style. So I'm home now, but we'll finish this real quick. The other thing that we are asked commonly is, okay, so you do this classic style, great. Where do we get the sets? Where do we get the pieces? Most of the town, most of the city is, at this point, I would say probably about half of it is from my childhood collection. The other half is mostly from eBay things that I would look for a particular set, and I would watch it for a long time to kind of see where the prices were, and then I would try and snag it when the price was good. It's as simple as that. Knowing that we had a large collection of Legos and that we were not people that were going to build them and put them up on a shelf, I didn't have to pay a premium for sets that had boxes. I didn't need a box. There's websites like Peron.com, Peron, that have all of the instructions for the older sets. So I didn't need a set that came with instructions. So I could replace pieces if needed. I could find instructions if needed. I didn't need a box, and that allowed me to look for sets that were incomplete and very, very cheap, with very few people bidding on them. And in some cases, I picked up multiples of those sets because I had a different purpose. So like the police station again, I already had a complete original set. I wanted to expand the building but keep it in the same style. Well, the easiest place to find windows that match the original set and stuff like that is to just get more of the original sets. But over time, the number of those sets that are complete goes down, and so collectors shy away from those versions of the set, and people are just kind of selling like what's left over. Well, what's left over was great for us, so that's what I would combine those together, and that's how we ended up with a larger police station that still looked like the original building, as if the building had been added onto over the years, which is kind of the goal. If you look in your own town, you'll probably find that police department maybe starts out with a smaller building, and as the area grows, they keep adding additions to it, and that's kind of the look we were going for. So what would that original set look like if the city planners actually budgeted and built out the facility over time? And they would try to keep the look consistent, at least up until the point that they finally upgraded it. And so that's how I gathered some of those is through eBay. The other good source for things is garage sales, if you can find them. Now, I found a few bins here and there at garage sales and thrift stores, and we've gotten some really good deals on them. Other times I've gone around and found that the garage sale prices and the thrift store prices were really, really ambitious. Like the people selling had gotten it in their head that Legos were highly collectible and highly valuable, and I know that they go for thousands of dollars and hundreds of dollars on eBay, so I'm going to charge all of this money for it. Well, they're just common enough that you really don't need to do that unless you're a collector who's going to just stick it on a shelf, and we're not. So when you find an incomplete set somewhere, it's not like they're just not valued accurately. At the same time, I found a few really good deals. People didn't really know what they had. They just knew they had a big old bin of Legos, and it was $10. Well, that's what you're looking for. So you're looking for that kind of a deal. So we found a few that way. And the other place we get them is Bricklink. I'm not sure how active Bricklink is anymore, but I did a number of orders on Bricklink back when Tyler was still younger and actively getting things for Christmas and stuff like that. And so when you look at a lot of the custom sets, like the TV station in particular, is made all out of beige bricks. Well, it's hard to find beige bricks. And it's based on a police station design from around the same period of time. Actually, that police station design is, those police stations became our white condo building, because I bought a couple of those along the way to get the windows, and used the bricks to make the condo building, but used the design to make the TV station, but I wanted it to be beige. I don't know why I wanted it to be beige, other than just to be different in town. And that's a realistic color for a building. There's a lot of beige buildings. My current workplace is beige. So that made sense. To get those pieces, I had to go through Bricklink and the different, I'd order from more than one person at a time. The taxis in particular were very difficult to find all of those parts in yellow. You would not believe how hard it was for me to get yellow hinge pieces to make those roofs open the way that they do. It was just, it was a lot more difficult than it needed to be. I don't quite understand why. And likewise with the doors and the wheels, because I wanted it all to be yellow because it's a taxi. And those are hard parts to come by. So I used Bricklink to get a lot of those together, and when things were going well, I would get them together in time for Christmas or a birthday, and I could give them to Tyler as like a complete set with instructions and everything. Again, with the idea like this is what it would look like as a Lego set had Lego decided to make this set, and that was the goal, was to get that quality of construction, or that stuff. Some people may not consider it quality because it's lacking some of the detail of newer designs, but quality in the sense of it looks like what Lego would have done back when they were building in that scale. So that's what we did, and that's where that all came from. I'm happy to answer more questions. I know there are other ones that are on the channel. I'll kind of come back and do more of those at another time, but I wanted to put something up to explain why we're kind of busy right now, and I don't know if we're going to make this YouTube deadline or not, and I don't really know what's going to happen when summertime comes around and we have to make some decisions about that, where the town goes. But you know, that's how you can help, is subscribe. Subscribe to the other channel too. Actually, the channel about the car and everything, that needs subscribers more than anything. This channel needs watch minutes, like number of minutes people watch. So that's why we want to do the town tour, because it'll be a longer video. It'll help. And I plan to do instructions for the bus as well. The bus video is our most watched video ever, and we never did any instructions on how to build them. So we will do an instruction video hopefully before this deadline comes, or at least early enough that it'll help us. But for now, I have to go paint and I have to work on this renovation. So I will bid you farewell, and thank you very much for watching, and thank you for all the support. Bye.